Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Allison.
Yeah, welcome back. It's the Bill and Corey Show, but we'll see after this week. It might be the Bill and Allison Show.
I might have to take his spot. You never know, right?
Yeah. Told Corey Corey's not here today. So he gets vacation days. So we have Allison bravely sitting in for him. First question we got is, I need a quote for a pressure regulator to be used on 100% hydrogen tank in conjunction with pressure reactors. Reviewing your website and the regulator we currently have in use for this application, it looks like the 3810A series dual stage high purity regulator, stainless steel, with the 350 CGA is what we need. However, on your online ordering system at store.mathesongas.com, it seems that our desired delivery pressure is not listed as an option. Your web page options only go up to 10 to 500 PSI. We need something capable of delivering higher pressures. The current regulator that we have has the lower pressure chamber gauge going as high as 2000 PSI. I'd also like to know if your other regulator series have options compatible with our applications. Perhaps we can discuss this at greater length. And they say thanks, and I would say you're welcome. Now Allison's a little bit younger than me, or maybe a lot younger than me. So do you say you're welcome, or do you say something else when someone says thanks?
I say thanks and you're welcome, or something. Okay, something to that effect, yes.
So
right.
What they were looking at, this is a dual stage regulator, and this is our 3120 series. It's our brass, and the stainless steel version pretty much looks like it. It's just a little bit different tone of color. So yeah, this goes up to different delivery pressure ranges, 0 to 15, all the way up to 500 PSI. They want a little bit higher than that. So what we would go with, because it's stainless steel, we've got the 3030S regulator. This one we had built with for the show with a 350 inlet for flammable gases. So this one goes up to, there's different ranges here. They have a 0 to 1500 PSI range and 0 to 2500 PSI range. So if they have a 2000 PSI outlet gauge, they probably want the 1500 PSI range because it's within that range. Okay. So this will do the trick for them. I said it's a little bit different regulator. It's not dual stage. Dual stage is kind of useless at high pressures because you're not using much of the bottle. You get a cylinder that's 2000, 2200 PSI. You want 1500 PSI delivery pressure. You're not really using that much of the cylinder. So, dual stage regulator is good for consistent delivery pressures over the life of a cylinder. So, so if you're going from 2000 down to like 100 PSI, this will have much more stable delivery pressure than a single stage regulator. So that's.
Do the colors mean something different as a customer looking at that? The two different colors of the knobs, or they?
Boy, this was brought up last week. Were you watching the show?
Nice. I wasn't, but
we got the regulator bodies are from different manufacturers.
Oh, okay.
And so we like using the blue for our standard series regulators.
Okay.
This one though, the 3030S series, stainless steel series, we didn't go with our blue knob on this.
Gotcha.
It's the black knob. So maybe we should change that over to the blue knob.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you just create a lot more work for me.
Gives you something to do, right?
But yeah, actually that's a good, interesting point. Is typically I don't have a lower purity regulator.
There's a gray one over there.
Now our lower purity regulators typically have a black knob. Then we go with a blue knob for our laboratory grade regulators, and then for our ultra higher purity line, we go with a white knob. So if you have a ultra line regulator, which we don't call them ultra line, semiconductor grade regulator, it'll have a white knob. And then this is kind of in the same series. This is 3610A, that has a white knob. Actually, there's a regulator behind her. We won't pull that one out. So Oh, we might bring that one out again. So, okay, so that's that question. Okay. Is it possible? The next question. Is it possible to get a DISS disc 724 on the 2210 series mini dual stage regulator? Okay, that's a good question. So this is let's start out with the disc 724. That's an ultra high integrity. It's a semiconductor grade for flammable gases cylinder connection. And so that's used at very high purity gases. And this is our 2210 series. This is, the body is plated brass bar stock. It's got brass, chrome plated brass gauges. It has, it's a two-stage regulator. The first stage has a piston, brass piston in there. Second stage is alloy diaphragm. It's got Teflon seats and Viton seals. So it's not up to that high purity grade. This shows with a CJ 170 on it. These are mini regs. They're a lot smaller than the other regs we have. That's kind of when you might have a yard of cylinders and you run to analytical instruments and you don't really have the room for that kind of a regular dual stage regulator. So you want something that kind of fits in the space you have, and you really don't need the flow rate for it. These big regulators will get you a higher flow rate, a few CFMs. This one doesn't. You've got, if you want 100 psi delivery pressure, we can deliver 10 liters a minute of nitrogen, so that's kind of low. That's less than a cubic foot. It's like half, less than half. If you go with a 50 psi delivery pressure range, you're only going to get 5 liters a minute. Actually, you want to zoom in on this? So yeah, this is the dual stage mini reg. It's kind of neat. It's all shiny.
Yeah.
You can zoom back out. And if you go with the down to 10 psi delivery, you're only going to get 300 ccms. So it's really just for analytical purposes.
What do those little? I noticed the little ties on.
Oh, the little ties.
Those on some of these.
That's a good question.
What
Yeah,
are
we have the
those
ties
for?
because that holds. You want to zoom in? That holds a little washer there.
Oh.
That washer is for the CGA 170 fitting, and that's a flat face fitting. There's different kinds of fittings for cylinders. Some of them are flat face, and the flat face ones need a washer, and that's your sealing surface.
I got you. Okay.
Regulators. There's other, like this CGA, it's 580. The sealing surface is the cone bullet nose nipple.
Okay.
So that's what you use for that. And yeah, we'll have a little gasket with a wire tie, bread tie, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Plastic tie. And then like here, this is our CGA 724. It's really, people call it disc. CGA stopped using disc, but everybody calls it that. So these have a metal gasket. You want to zoom in? Zoom in. There we go. It's got a little metal gasket. It's in plastic to keep junk off of it. So that's put in this little recess there. And this, it's so shiny it's hard to see on a close-up. But this is for diameter index safety standard. So it has different diameters. You see this is the inner diameter right there. And then you get a larger diameter. So that will fit in the valve. And if it doesn't fit in the valve, that's not the right one. So people figuring this stuff out decided to come up with that solution, and they want to have a metal gasket, much like a VCR connection. It's really this is super machining on here, very fine surface. So you can use it seems odd using a metal gasket. It's like used to stuff that can crush, but these can crush. So you use the metal gasket in there, and it's really a one-use gasket. So when you change the cylinder, you got to get another gasket. So yeah, and they have, it's kind of interesting because they have these little, zoom in again. I don't know if you can see the little notches on here. There's a notch at the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock position on there.
Yeah.
That's so it keys into the cylinder. It got a key into the cylinder that way. Yeah, so when you put them on regular fittings, you just screw them in, put them on the regulator. But here, you want to have it oriented. So you got 12 o'clock and 6. So if you had the little nibs on the side, then when you put it on a cylinder, it would be pointing up or pointing whatever it is. So we like to keep it right there.
Right.
Problem is, if some customers would rather have it bent up or bent down, you're kind of out of luck with these. But
Right.
that's life. That is that. Okay, last question today is, I'm looking to install a cross purge system in my lab. It'll be connected to UHP, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen as a flushing gas. So it'll be pure sulfur dioxide. They're going to use nitrogen purge. Bottle SO2 is AS2473 type 32 stem. You go, what the heck is that? So I would need a system that can connect to this type of regulator. Do you have anything like this? And yes, we do. Now this is the AS, whatever that was, 2473. That's the Australian CGA connections.
Oh.
So other countries have different, could have different cylinder connections. So it's a different connection. We can, I believe, we can get that connection made. So we can do this. Now you want to put up the first graphic. So when you're looking for a system, this is sulfur dioxide. And sulfur dioxide is a liquefied gas. And this is a pure gas data sheet from our catalog. You can find it, a link to it on the online store and also on our main website. And it's got all sorts of information, but it says your vapor pressure is 34 psi. So you look at that and you think, okay, maybe they need a regulator, maybe they're just using it at 34, because that's pretty low pressure. Okay, and you want to go back to the camera. So they could go with, if they're looking for a cross purge system, it's a toxic and slightly corrosive gas. So you want to try to purge that out during cylinder changes, because you don't want to be breathing in sulfur dioxide and you don't want to have it corrode things. So this is a cross purge on a pressure regulator. And it has, so they bring your purge gas in here, and then you vent it out. You have, this goes to a vent line to go to your abatement system. And then this is an isolation valve, so you don't have to purge out the whole system. Quarter turn, color coded valve, so you can write up instructions and say red handle valve, green and gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you do a cross purge. It will usually be a cycle purge. You'd probably isolate your regulator, you'd isolate your vent, and this would be hooked up to a cylinder, wouldn't fit on the table. So nitrogen coming in, check valve to prevent sulfur dioxide from backflowing. So you bring gas in there, you close that, and then you open the vent, purge it out. And then you just keep doing this multiple times. It's probably at least 10 times. You could do, depends on the toxicity of the gas, but a lot of times you purge it out there and then you're good to go. There's other, so this is you could just go, I don't know if they need a regulator, they could just go with this, a cross purge. Regulator, we sell stainless steel, and then one for corrosive service would be like the 40s, would be a Monel aluminosilica bronze one. There's other systems you can do. Simple is just go with this and pipe it up yourself. You want to show the next graphic? We have a cross purge panel, so this allows you to mount cross purge on the wall. And it's got a flex hose. You probably want to go with a rigid pigtail for sulfur dioxide. So you've got the valves are oriented a little bit different, but they still have the colored handles. So you can go with that route. You want to pop up the next graphic. This is a 5500 series panel. The second 5 being 5 valves. So you can, there's purge gas valve, and on the far, as I'm looking at the far right, it'd be and then you've got isolation valve and a high pressure vent valve. So that right at the inlet, flex hose will be connected to the bottom. So that's your little cross purge setup there. Then it's got a low pressure vent valve there downstream of the regulator, and then a process isolation valve. So it's got a lot of valves there, a common vent line.
Now,
So-
why on that? Now, why on that one are the valves not different colors like this other one? To know what to do.
I don't know.
All right. Ooh, I
well,
stumped
actually,
you.
that's a good question.
Yeah,
And
all right.
Boy, you're creating more things for me to think about. Well, that's the panel. We've got instructions. The valves are labeled.
I was going to say maybe because they're
You
labeled.
got
Yeah.
different V numbers.
Right.
Purge valve, I think, is V5, and then V2 is isolation valve, and V4 looks like the high pressure vent valve. So they're labeled. We don't have them
Labeled,
color coded. That's just how it was developed, and
Designed,
then
yeah.
we just kind of carried on that way. But
There you
that's
go.
an interesting thing to think about. Then if you want to go to the next one. Okay, this is if you're really getting high purity gases and you're really concerned about that, this is our 9400 series panel. The 4 in there is for 4 valves. So it's got this is all welded VCR connections. So it's welded stainless steel pigtail. So it's for high purity gases. And yeah, you got different valves on there, but they're still quarter turn valves. So you can see the 3 valves on the inlet of the cross purge, and then the outlet isolation valve. And so that's probably our high level one there. So yeah, so that's all the questions we have for this week. Now next week I'm going to be up in the Adirondacks driving up there, so it'd be hard to do a live stream from the back of the car. So we're going to do best of the show, and then in 2 weeks we're going to have a live show. So tune in again next week and the week after that for another edition of the Bill and Corey Show.
And don't forget to set your VCR.